Scientists have found a new way to help people with mental health problems. They started with a strong drug called LSD. LSD can change how people see and feel things. This is called a hallucination. Some people think LSD could help the brain, but the hallucinations can be too much for many. So, scientists worked hard to change LSD. They wanted to keep the good parts for the brain. They also wanted to remove the parts that cause hallucinations. This work is very important for finding new treatments. It could change how we help people with serious conditions. The new drug they made is called JRT. It comes from LSD, but it is very different. JRT does not make people see things that are not there. This is a big step. It means more people might be able to use this kind of medicine. Researchers at a big university in California made this discovery. They are at the University of California, Davis. They hope JRT can help repair brains. They also hope it can treat illnesses like schizophrenia and depression. This is a new hope for many who suffer from these conditions. For a long time, doctors have looked for better ways to treat mental illness. Current medicines can help some people, but they do not work for everyone. Sometimes these medicines have side effects. These side effects can be hard to live with. That is why scientists are always looking for new ideas. The idea of using something like LSD is not new, but making it safe and without hallucinations is a big change. JRT offers this exciting new possibility for patients and doctors alike. The discovery of JRT could be a turning point. It shows that we can be clever with science. We can take something known and make it better. We can make it safer. This new compound, JRT, might help the brain grow new cells. It might help fix connections in the brain that are not working well. This is very important for conditions like depression. It is also important for schizophrenia. These conditions can deeply affect how a person thinks and feels. JRT brings a new sense of optimism for future treatments. To create JRT, scientists had to look very closely at LSD. LSD is made of tiny parts called molecules. These molecules have a special shape. This shape is what makes LSD affect the brain. The scientists at UC Davis studied this shape. They wanted to change it just a little bit. They thought that a small change could stop the hallucinations, but they hoped it would still help the brain. It was like being a tiny mechanic for molecules. They had to be very careful and very precise in their work. The change they made was very small but very smart. They moved only 2 atoms in the LSD molecule. Atoms are the tiny building blocks of everything. Imagine a car tire. If you move it just a little, the car might work differently. That is what they did with the LSD molecule. They called this change a tire rotation at the atomic level. This small shift in the position of 2 atoms changed how the drug works. It stopped the drug from causing the powerful hallucinations. This was the key to making JRT a potentially useful medicine. This careful change meant JRT could work in a new way. It could still go into the brain, it could still help brain cells, but it would not cause the confusing and sometimes scary experiences of LSD. The goal was to keep the healing parts. The scientists believed that LSD had properties that could promote brain repair. They wanted to isolate these properties. By altering the molecule, they aimed to create a compound that was purely therapeutic. This would make it much safer and more acceptable for medical use. The process of finding this exact change took many years. The research team at UC Davis spent about 5 years. They were looking for the right way to adjust the LSD molecule. They tested many small changes. They wanted to find the one that worked best. They needed a compound that did not cause hallucinations. They also needed it to still have the good effects on brain cells. JRT was the result of all this patient and detailed research. It represents a significant achievement in medicinal chemistry and neuroscience. After creating JRT, the scientists needed to test it. They wanted to see if it worked as they hoped. So, they did tests on lab mice. Mice are often used in research. Their brains have some things in common with human brains. The scientists gave JRT to the mice. Then, they watched the mice very carefully. They looked for any signs of hallucinations. They also looked for changes in how the mice behaved. These tests were very important. They would show if JRT was safe and if it could help. The results from the mice tests were very exciting. The mice that got JRT did not show signs of hallucinations. They did not seem confused or disoriented. LSD usually makes mice behave in ways that suggest they are hallucinating. But JRT did not do this. This was great news. It meant the scientists' changes to the LSD molecule had worked. JRT seemed to be non-hallucinogenic, just as they planned. This was a crucial step. It showed JRT might be gentle enough to be a medicine for people. The tests also showed that JRT could help the mice's brains. Scientists found that JRT helped brain cells grow. It also helped repair connections between brain cells. These connections are called neural pathways. They are very important for thinking and mood. In mice with conditions like depression, these pathways can be damaged. JRT seemed to help fix them. This was a very hopeful sign. It suggested JRT could treat the brain damage linked to some mental health problems. It showed potential for actual healing within the brain. Furthermore, JRT showed it could help with specific conditions. In mice that showed signs of schizophrenia, JRT improved their symptoms. For example, it helped with problems like social withdrawal. It also helped with cognitive fog, which is when thinking is unclear. JRT did this without causing psychosis, which is a serious symptom of schizophrenia. For depression, JRT also showed strong effects. It worked like an antidepressant in the mice, and it worked at much lower doses than other drugs like ketamine. This suggested JRT could be very powerful and effective. The discovery of JRT is a big step forward for mental health care. For many years, finding good treatments for conditions like schizophrenia and depression has been hard. Some medicines work, but they can have bad side effects. For example, some drugs for schizophrenia can make people feel emotionally numb. They can also make it hard to think clearly. JRT offers a new kind of hope. It might be a safer way to help people. It could target the brain problems without causing new ones, like hallucinations or severe side effects. If JRT works well in humans, it could change many lives. People who cannot use current treatments might find help with JRT. Because it does not cause hallucinations, it could be used by more patients. This includes people who might be poor candidates for treatments that involve psychedelic experiences. The idea is that JRT could help the brain heal itself. It could help regrow important connections. This could lead to real, long-lasting improvements in mental health. This is what doctors and patients are hoping for. It could truly revolutionize psychiatric care. There is still more work to do before JRT can be used as a medicine. The tests on mice were very promising. But now, scientists need to test JRT in humans. Human trials are a long process. They must be done very carefully to make sure the drug is safe and effective for people. Researchers are also working to make JRT easier to produce. They are looking for other similar compounds that might also be helpful. So it will be some time before doctors can prescribe JRT. Even though it is still early, the future looks brighter. The work on JRT shows how science can find new answers. By understanding how drugs like LSD work, scientists can change them. They can make them better and safer. This research, published in a science journal called Gives New Hope. It opens a new door for treating very difficult mental health conditions. For millions of people around the world, discoveries like JRT mean there is a chance for a better, healthier future with improved mental well-being.